Rise up!
This is Howard Balzer, and welcome to this Cardinals camp update for the Rise Up See Red podcast, the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Well, I think every Arizona Cardinals fan would agree with me if I would make the out-of-the-world statement that Ron Wolfley is old school. No doubt about it. How old is Ron Wolfley? Well, when he began his career with the Cardinals in 1985 in St. Louis, I was living in St. Louis and still was a younger guy. 10 years ago, after the Cardinals moved to Arizona, Wolf ended his career in St. Louis with the St. Louis Rams in 1995. And here now, this many years later, he's still in Arizona, and I've been here now in my fifth season of covering this team. Well, listen to Wolf on the radio on the Cardinals affiliate 98.7 Arizona Sports, and you always get a fill of him talking about the way it used to be in the NFL, with hitting, with violence, with all those things. It's still a violent sport, but certainly it's not the same as it was when Wolf was playing many years ago. So maybe it's no surprise that on Thursday morning, prior to the second day of camp, that Will Hernandez, the Cardinals' right guard, visited with Wolf and Luke Lipinski on their show on 98.7. And at one point, Wolf asked Hernandez, well, have you been in a fight yet? Day two. Day one was low tempo. Well, of course, Will responded to that by saying, hey, you kind of got me on the second day, and we haven't even got pads on yet, so you got to give me some more time. Well, he didn't need that much more time. Now, I'm not going to call this a fight, but in the practice, which was only a few hours after that appearance, there was a play near the right sideline in a very high-tempo Cardinals practice on this day two of camp. Players were getting after it. Defense was getting it after it. Running backs were running hard. All the quarterbacks were doing a nice job with receivers, and the defensive backs were competing. But on a running play to the sideline, James Conner had the ball. Looked like he was just going to go out of bounds when all of a sudden there was a mad scuffle near the sideline. And before you know it, Will Hernandez gave the rookie well, no, he's not a rookie. He's a rookie in Arizona, his first season, Mack Wilson Sr., the new inside linebacker. And Mack kind of got pushed out of bounds, stumbled. He didn't take kindly to that. And Mack can be a pretty volatile guy. And I'm sure Wolf probably got a kick out of the way he reacted. He came up, tried to get after Hernandez, but his teammates would have nothing of it. They held him back. Zaven Collins was in on it, holding him back, and it didn't amount to much. And, you know, Will admitted afterward when he talked to the media that, hey, it got a little carried away. After all, it's been many, many months of no football, and you get back into it, sometimes that's what happens. But the point is, check yourselves and make sure we take care of our teammates at the end of the day, because I need him and he needs me. So that was one. I'm not going to call it a high point of the day, but hey, we're all watching practice. It's not that long a practice, but we always kind of like it when players mix it up a bit. But of course, you don't want to take the chance of anybody getting hurt. But maybe it was all meant to be after Wolf asked him that question in that interview this morning. I mentioned the way the offense looked during this practice, and there were big plays throughout the day. One of the biggest cheers from the fans came when Kyler Murray slid a little bit to his left and hit Marvin Harrison Jr. on a nicely threaded pass just past the arms of rookie Max Melton. Harrison made the catch, and the fans really responded to that. They responded to a pass from Murray to Trey McBride on the right sideline, also to Michael Wilson. So that first-team offense looking pretty solid. And the one thing about it also is that the offensive line looks the way it has been throughout the offseason, with no real surprises, with Paris Johnson moving the left tackle, Jonah Williams, of course, on the right side, Yelda Froholt at center, and Hernandez at right guard. But the left guard continues to be, and looks like it'll be unless there's a stumble somewhere, Evan Brown. And Froholt, who is becoming one of the best quotes on the team, was talking about Evan Brown afterwards and said how good it is that he has a center's eyes, and that can help me. Brown has started a bunch of games in this league at center, and the center, of course, responsible for a lot of things, recognizing the defense, calling some things out, maybe seeing some things that others don't see and making sure everybody else knows. And Yelder was saying how it's good to have him next to me because he has those center's eyes, and sometimes he'll have a better view of what's going on his side than I can see. So we'll see how that develops during the season. I mentioned that Froholt has become a pretty interesting quote. And one of the things he said about Paris Johnson when he was asked about the new left side of the line, he said, man, second season as a pro, he's already trying to be like a cool vet, which is super annoying. But maybe the best quote came when there's been a lot of questions about his relationship with Kyler Murray. The center exchange and all those things, didn't have a chance to work on it all that much last year until Murray began practicing in October. And then when the games started in November, where Kyler started the final 8 games. And when he was asked today about everything that's being said about, oh, what do they have to work on? What do they have to do? What do they have to, how are you working on it? And he just kind of chuckled and said, hey, there's not really too much complicated. It's not like we sit down every day around the bonfire and talk this out. So those are only a couple of examples of his quotes and his kind of fun way of looking at things. In the coming days, I'll have a good tale that he told about some rocks that he wants to get built that will also serve as weights, as he's always looking to get bigger and stronger. So those are a bunch of things that from today's practice, which was good to see. Also had a chance to talk with John Gaines II, who of course was reported did not start training camp on the physically unable to perform list. Had a chance to talk with him privately in the locker room, and he talked about the grind of working back, send a lot of shout outs to all the trainers and the strength people and the coaches that he had to work with, but also sent out some kudos to Kelvin Beachum and DJ Humphries for how much they helped him through it after he suffered the torn ACL against the Vikings in the final preseason game. Of course, DJ ended up tearing his ACL near the end of the season, is no longer with the team, but during the season, while Gaines was beginning to work on it, Humphries was giving him a lot of, good advice about just keep working. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days, but just keep working hard every day and things will work out. And they have. And he is back on the field on a limited basis, but happy, obviously, to be there. Speaking of Beachum, what a veteran to have on this team, a guy who can play left tackle or right tackle, the oldest player on the roster at 35 years old. And in fact, he's one of only 5 players on the entire roster and 3 position players on offense or defense that are 30 years or older. That's it. 90 right now, a 90-player roster, and only 5 that are 30 or more. 2 are specialists, of course, Matt Prater and Aaron Brewer. And then you've got Beachum and the new wide receiver, Chris Moore, who are 30-plus. And then 1 on defense, Dennis Gardeck, who right now is what? He's about 13 days away, August 9th, from his 30th birthday. That's all the players on this roster that are 30 or more. And when Beachum was asked about being an elder statesman on the team, he laughed and said, well, it's good to be in a locker room where you see such exuberance, you see such passion for the game. It's always good to see a younger injection of that passion on the team. So Beachum back again, and is expected to be a big part of this team, especially with that depth at tackle on either side of the line. We'll close with some discussion about the 3 quarterbacks. Kyler Murray, we mentioned Desmond Ridder, of course, and Clayton Tune. What will the Cardinals do at that position when it comes time on August 27th to cut the roster to 53 players? Will they keep 3 quarterbacks? Will they try to sneak Clayton Tune through waivers and get him on the practice squad? What will they do? Gannon was asked about that and what a tough decision that could be, and then pointed out that it's not only about keeping 2 or 3 quarterbacks, but every decision you make, if it's a third quarterback, that can affect a defensive back or a wide receiver, whatever the numbers are at other positions. So all of those things are interrelated. One interesting note, though, is when Gannon was talking about Israel Wolfork, the quarterback's coach, working really well with Ridder and Tune, who Gannon said are doing very well. He said, well, he's done a good job with those guys, and they know it's a healthy competition that's going to be competitive for the 2-3 spot. Almost sounded like he was giving a hint that they're leaning towards keeping 3. A lot of time between, well, maybe it's not a lot of time. It's not that much time between that decision, and that's going to be one of the interesting choices that the team has to make when that roster is cut to 53. Well, that wraps up this Cardinals camp update from State Farm Stadium. This is Howard Balzer for the Rise Up, See Red podcast. We'll be back again soon.
Thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Rise Up, See Red podcast. Listen to previous episodes and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Audioboom, or many other podcast platforms so shows are delivered directly to your mobile device. Please give the show a 5-star rating and always support the sponsors who support the show. We'll be back soon for the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Rise up, Red Sea, be Red, See Red, and of course, Rise Up, See Red.